Welcome back, guys, to the Beyond Condition podcast. Today we are in for our webinar with Lucy, who has heard that intro many times. And I said that when Connor, your other half, came on because you're both avid listeners. So thank you, first of all, for your time today, Lucy.
No, of course. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's very, very cool when, bit like when I met you, Emily, and I've met you, Vicky, and it's like when you do meet in real life, you're like, well, I know this person. Hopefully they're a real person. They are a real person. This is really cool. And then it brings that because, for everyone listening, bodybuilding is certainly a solo endeavor. And we've just before hitting record been talking about prep and what that brings. And for sure we go tunnel vision, right? It's like, you've got a job to do essentially every day to get you to stage. But then I really like your posts, Emily, to say, when you actually find the vibe, it's like, okay, this is quite cool. It just adds a bit of like, oh, that was a nice experience within a prep that I didn't expect. So we will continue, of course, trying to build the community as much as possible with seminars that will be coming up now. Romana has finished her prep, and obviously the girls are keen to do that. So lots to come. Now, today we're going to talk about stage presence and posing. Now, as Lucy and I put in the post, if you can't exhibit your physique, how are the judges going to see it? Now, when we look at that in itself, always remember, guys, that the judges, maybe they do know you, but let's just speak, fictitiously as it were for most people. The judges don't know you. They don't know your story. They don't know what you've done to get there. We can go through some quite crazy things in this journey in all phases, but they're looking at who's on stage. Aside from politics and stuff, guys, things happen. It is in all sports, but generally speaking, they look on stage, they see the physiques, they see the posing, and that's what you're judged on. And I feel like for sure, when you first get into the sport, you think, I'll do my nutrition, I'll do my training, cool. But then there's the posing, and you're like, right, okay, this is hot. This is hot. Like, uh, it's hard to decide which is the hardest bit, Lucy, of being a bodybuilder. Posing, trying to articulate, trying to learn the skill, it's quite something, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's even harder if you haven't come from a sport where you have to be coordinated. So, for example, I did ballet when I was younger, then I did cheerleading and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely where it's all rooted from for me and how I found sort of my flow with posing. But for people who maybe weren't as active as kids or don't know how to dance and like coordinate themselves, it can be a little bit more difficult. So yeah.
For sure. When I speak to dancers, gymnasts, anything of that nature, I guess, a good way to start as well is that sort of alter ego and who we can become on stage. Because when you've got a background, like you say, that could be acting as well, right? Like you're used to being on stage and potentially being a different person or having that alter ego. And I wouldn't say it came for me initially. I mean, my first show, I was literally like, I've stepped on stage here. Like that's that's enough. I don't really know what I'm doing here. There's like 35 or 40 girls. It'll do. And then you obviously get into the pursuit. I'd say nowadays, I'm sure many people will go, yep, there's a bit more of that sort of pressure when you first start out. It's not like when I started, it was just, people would step on stage and that would be it. And it would be like, wow. Now it's like almost you've got to win your first show and there's a lot more sort of pressure, as it were, with the social media and stuff. But as you gain experience of the stage, if you're coming from a background not having that, like you say, Lucy, you can almost, and I frame it as soon as you go past that curtain or whatever that looks like on the stage you're on, and I was say, flick the switch, own the stage. Now, being able to do that comes from making it a habit first. So
Yeah.
you need to be able to do the posing first. And I don't know about you, Lucy, and if you come across this, but I feel like, and I talk from personal experience, sometimes posing can be one of those things where you're like, I'm so fatigued. I'm not good at it, or I know I need to improve a hell of a lot. You can absolutely bypass it and think, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. You've almost got to facilitate making yourself do it as a habit and make it as important as everything else in the preparation. And do you know what I mean? You can build it up in your own mind that you just don't want to do it because it is tough.
Yeah, definitely. I completely agree. And one of the biggest questions I get is, when should I start posing? My answer all the time is, as soon as you want to know you want to get on stage, that's when you should be starting to pose, because it's like anything in the gym. When you go to do, for example, an RDL, muscle memory allows you to replicate that movement over and over again so that your form's all correct. It's the exact same with posing, where you understand and you create those habits within your posing, where your foot goes and how your transition is, maybe any facial expressions. A lot of the time I see that not smiling on stage, it's something that people don't practice enough. So I make sure that with my clients in particular, when I'm coaching people, when they do send their check-ins, I want to make sure that they are practicing their smile on stage as well as their transitions as well, because it is just important.
Yeah, for sure. That's a really nice golden nugget already where, when you practice as well at home on your own or in the gym studio or wherever it is, with the fatigue that comes in and maybe you feel like, oh God, I'm not sure about posing, etc. You can absolutely go serious mode. And it's
Yeah,
like, now, I wouldn't advise what my first posing coach said to me. Imagine the judges' faces as pizzas and seduce them, because I don't really like pizza that much for a start. But the element behind that was to try and see something that you desire and almost give that off. Now, I would label that as show that you're enjoying it. And from being on judging panels myself, it's a night and day difference when someone walks out on that stage and they're there.
yeah,
It's wild. Now, I feel like the sort of hard part to this to a certain degree, and this is where we need to consider getting a posing coach, because I say to a certain degree, when you're first stepping on stage, you could be racked with nerves. You didn't expect this. Oh my God, I can't even think straight. So it's not necessarily easy. However, I've seen your clients, step on stage and they're always beaming to be there. This is going to be facilitated to enjoying what you're doing and wanting to be there. But it's remembering the judges, again, don't know who you are.
yeah,
They're wanting to, and I know, deep down judges that I know, they want to see that you enjoy it, right? Because you can't help but when you see someone enjoy something, you're gravitating towards them, and it's like, wow, who is this person? You might not be the best physique, but if you pip it on posing and stage presence, you absolutely can beat someone. And it is a physique based sport, but it is heavily related to the posing. Because if you can't exhibit that physique, how do they see it? You might look good on the Instagram with the filters and the lighting and everything, but when you're exposed on the stage, it's hitting those poses. And it's a hard one, Lucy, because when you do see certain poses done and you don't know if someone's got a posing coach, got even a coach, it's like you almost think, oh God, I wish that person could pose. But we have to take it upon ourselves as well as competitors to actually go, I need to source a posing coach and I need to put the practice in. Now, when you first started bodybuilding, how did you start to sort of look at your own posing? Did you have a posing coach?
so yes and no. So I started bodybuilding when I was about 17, and I did my first show. Yeah, I did my first show when I was 18. I did the 10x naturals, and yeah, I should not have stepped on stage, but I did a 16-week prep. I had, she wasn't very well known, but I had a coach, and then I did my posing with a fitness pro. So
Okay.
yes, so she didn't even compete in bikini, which was my first mistake. So I actually learned a different style of posing. So I actually learned, that how fit model is now. I learned that, and
Okay.
then I sort of noticed, I was like, oh, these girls aren't doing the same things that I am. Am I going here? Yeah. So I actually sort of taught myself, looked at other videos of what other girls were doing, and then sort of mashed it all together with the transitions and stuff that I learned from my posing coach. So yeah, it wasn't great, but I mean, I made it. Yeah, definitely get a posing coach in your category. So, for example, I teach wellness and I know the figure poses and stuff like that, but I'm not comfortable in saying, like, I'm going to charge you for it, if you know what I mean. If there's ever a point where I'm stuck with something, I'll be like, I think I've taught you everything I know. You need to go to XYZ to improve further. But yeah, my posing coach, definitely the first thing that I learned was go with somebody who is active in the category, because as we know, especially in bikini and figure as well, the poses have changed drastically over the years. So obviously with the fit model, it's a completely different style of posing, but at one point that was bikini. So we can just see the evolution and how keeping up to date with trends and stuff like that is so important.
Yeah, yeah. So now, what I noticed with clients that are working with posing coaches as well as working with me is that if you've got a posing coach that's current, and I'm glad you've said that, they show you these, whereas not every posing coach is current with what's going on in the realm. Now, IFBB, I almost do separate to a certain degree because then we've got, of course, all of the amateur feds as well. And you can get obviously pro cards in the UK. There's so many. So this also opens the can of worms if you're doing multiple federations, just how mind-boggling it can be, particularly in a prep when it's like I'm doing Fit X one week, PCA the other week, Two Bros the other week. It can be quite hard to actually be able to retain all of that in the midst of a prep. Now, I'm not saying it's not, attainable, but it's quite hard sometimes to do all of the multiple feds, isn't it?
Definitely. And especially with the two bros sort of route, they're very, very particular on what they want to see and what they don't want to see. So, the biggest thing that I change when I see someone coming from PCA to IFBB is turning your toes out. So, when you turn your toes out, we get more quad sweep, and that's great for PCA. They want a nice, harsh X frame, they want to see as much muscle as possible on your frame. However, in IFBB, it's a little bit different. It's very, very glute focused. And I would say IFBB is a bit more unbalanced because we're not looking for muscle everywhere. The main focus is the delts and glutes. So why are we making our quads as big as possible when the judges want to see how developed our glutes are? So turning your feet. So for PCA, for example, your feet would be turned out like this to show the quad. IFBB is a little bit more straight on because we just want to see the round glutes and we don't want to see a big quad sweep around the outside of your legs.
It is. It's even those little things, for the bikini realm where it's like you just don't know how intricate it is when you first get into the sport. You
Yeah, definitely.
it's sort of like a deer in headlights to a certain degree, but it's also and a relevant point is being intrigued by learning the posing, whatever category you're in, guys. If you can almost like the bodybuilding journey in itself, if you can fall in love with the progression of each element as a bodybuilder. And what I love as well, when you are tweaking things and working with a posing coach, if you can get video footage potentially or even photos, you can then take that on as your own little, it's almost like homework as a bodybuilder. You can video yourself. You can watch it back. Oh, okay. Okay, that pops more there. As long as it's in the confinements of, IFBB, I definitely say is a touch more strict in regards to, like you say, they want to see this, they don't want to see this. I feel like other federations, you can have maybe a little bit more personality to it to a certain degree, and you can have a bit more flair. But again, I'm sure you'll agree there's flair and then there's too much flair.
Yes.
So another complexity to posing, and this is where I say, already we've unraveled enough there to go, okay, there's a bit more to this than just hitting some poses. And yes, it comes with experience, but also having that mindset of almost that like I want to get excited to do this posing thing and learn more about it because this is my opportunity to step on stage and show the judges what I'm made of. And it goes so quick, doesn't it? Like you come on stage and you think, oh my God, I've fucking done it. I've
Yeah.
done I don't even know what happened there. And this is where, building the habit. Now, I'd love to pick your brains with how many times to do the posing practice per week. Now, this is going to be, guys, if you've got a coach, as in your physique coach, and there's a set amount for expenditure, etc., obviously listen to that. It's something I use as a tool with my own clients. But from a posing coach standpoint, if someone's got a bodybuilding coach that doesn't really, do the posing side of things, do you have like set targets per week where someone would do X amount of rounds, or how do you sort of construct it, or is it completely different across the board?
So it's more like a timeline. And obviously, the closer we get to your show, the more you should be posing. As you already know, your body changes so quickly in those final 10 weeks that we're constantly having to change stuff, whether it's a foot position or how hard you're flexing a muscle, whether your shoulders should be higher up or lower down. All these tiny, tiny things are going to change, particularly more so towards the later stages of prep. So Off season, I always say twice per week minimum. All my girls check in off season twice a week, and that gives them an opportunity to practice their posing, put their heels on, stretch their legs, and make sure that they've still got it in the in their library, I guess, in their brain. Um, and then as you gradually move into prep, I'd say for the first 10 weeks of prep or so, I'd move it up to 3, 4, 5 days a week, whether that's in your check-ins or post-workout. It's not even so much posing, it's more the confidence of being on heels. If you're like me and you are not a girly girl and you don't wear heels when you go out, yeah, it's definitely something that you need to practice, because like these aren't small little like platform heels. These are massive 5-inch sparkly, like you've got a tiny little platform to stand on, and then you've got to do all these twists and turns and hold your belly in, and you've got to make sure you're flexing all your muscles at the same time. So definitely practice makes perfect. I'd say daily towards that back end of prep.
Cool. Yeah. So again, that's some insight there from Lucy from the posing standpoint and for your online coaches. And then that can be combined with, what your online coach says if it's a physique based thing. I really like how you said about, being able to increase that. And that can, of course, include, as you say, that could be a post workout bit of a flex when you've got a pump. A good thing to note as well, and it's something I often reference, is being able to potentially, if it fits your schedule. I know, of course, a lot of us are busy, etc., but being able to pose at different times in the day as well. So, for a check-in, generally speaking, it's fasted, right? So we're stiff as a board. I'm hungry, I need my coffee. And, doing it just then, it serves a purpose. However, generally speaking, you're not going to go on stage at 6 in the morning or whatever time you get up. So being able to sometimes do the post-workout one, maybe you get some different lighting. This is what I like with clients. If I can get them to do a couple of sessions of posing under the gym lights post-workout, then I can have the check-in that's fasted. Then maybe we even do an evening one at home when they've got a full day of food. Now, this is going to depend on peak weeks and stuff, obviously. I mean, you feel like you're checking in every 5 minutes in a peak week at times. But being able to actually get time on the heels, maybe you don't, if you're listening and you don't use heels, then obviously that's separate. But being able to get that time and doing it when you're more fatigued is a really good touch, because also, and again, it's category dependent. I mean, I've stepped on stage at 11:30 at night. So if I'd only practiced posing fasted, I mean, it's like a completely different thing here. Now, of course, generally speaking, you get some food or whatever on a show day. Maybe you don't. Not everyone does. But it's like, yes, you've got your adrenaline, etc. But if your show runs late or you are really fatigued from traveling there, maybe it's even international, having this in your toolbox, as it were, to go, that day I'd done the stepper for an hour and 16K steps, trained for 2 hours, I'd done my full-time job, then I did my posing when I got home. It just gives that almost posing stamina as well, and being armed for it's like you need to be armed for any eventuality in bodybuilding sometimes. So that as well can be nice. Also, with what you were saying about the smile earlier, a tip that I've referenced on the pod before is having someone like a friend or partner or whoever posing in front of people, or teddies. This is what I used to do. I had a row of teddies and I'd be like, yeah, you're the head judge there. I'm going to seduce you with my eyes. But it's, trying to find maybe opportunities as well, so you're not posing on your own all the time and not posing in the mirror all the time. I'm sure you'll agree.
Yeah, there are no mirrors on stage. Don't pose in front of a mirror all the time. That's something that's really, really important, because I've had clients and they're like, oh, I can't pose without a mirror. I'm like, okay. And then I'll teach them posing, and then they'll be looking up like behind the camera. I'm like, is there a mirror behind me right now? And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, right,
Hello.
let's move. So it's really, really important that I personally don't pose as well when I'm in a mirror, because I'm focusing on different points, and then I don't actually focus on how I'm feeling and how I'm positioning my body. I'm more focusing on what I can see in the mirror, which is not what the judges see at all on stage. They are below you, completely different angles. So how you pose in a mirror is going to look probably a bit wonky to anybody who's actually judging you from a judging panel. And that's also another reason why I don't like posing in front of a mirror, because it teaches you bad habits. And I think it just makes you overthink as well. So I think it's a lot better just practice without a mirror. Yes, you can make some small tweaks and stuff like that, but making sure that you're going off of the feel and off of the balance, it's just going to help you so much when you do get on stage.
Yeah, because otherwise, again, it's like if you haven't done any practice without a mirror, it's the deer in headlights. It's suddenly like, well, what do I do here? And that's part of making it a habit, doing it away from the mirror as well. And, of course, like you say, you can make some little tweaks and look in the mirror and utilize that as a positive. What you can also do, and it's something that I do, and I work with clients to do this, if you do have posing lessons over Zoom, or you go and see a posing coach and you get that video footage, you can actually play that out to do your practice. So when the posing coach said, right, just tweak that glute a little, oh, yeah, okay, we're there, right, lats, all of these things, you can actually relive the posing lesson yourself, but you're not looking in the mirror. So again, it's these little things. I remember right back in the early days. I mean, I just wanted to be able to pose. I was just like, I just need to pose. And I went to a show and I recorded the judges saying quarter turn to the left, ladies, quarter turn. And I'd play that and play that and play that in my headphones. And I just literally go around. You said about, you taught yourself with YouTube and stuff. Similar thing. I'd watch that on the treadmill doing my steps, be watching the old YouTube UK BFF videos. Okay, I like how that girl looks. Right, that's within the criteria. Then I go do my posing practice. So there's little things like that as well to have cues. Because again, it's like when you're on stage, we've all seen it, right? Where someone's like doing a pose to the side and everyone else is at the back because you're like, I don't know what's going on here. You forget your number, you don't know what you're doing. It's like, oh my God. But just little things like that as well, little snippets of things that can help you almost feel that motivation to get the drive to do the posing. Now, if you have clients that are sort of struggling to, I don't want to say excuses is a negative, but if you get people saying, I haven't done my posing, it's not for a viable reason, as it were. Have you got any sort of things that you try and, other than go, you need to do it? Is there any mindset tricks or hacks that you can think of that you would try and attribute to getting people to do it more regularly?
Yes. So this is
Love
good.
that.
Yeah. Um, I think one thing I say is, look, you're doing however many minutes of cardio, you're doing all of these steps, you're not cheating on your diet, you're on it with all of your meals, you're going through all of this, not pain, but you're going through all of this sacrifice, and you're going to get on stage, you're going to hate your pictures.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that happened with me. And it's like, I look at some of the poses that I did at my first ever season. I'm like, why did I do that with my hand? Or why did I do that with my hair? And why did I let my belly out when I was walking off? Yeah. And that's definitely something that stuck with me, because it's like, well, now I've got to wait another however long until I get back on stage again. And it's like, when you just wish that you could like go back in time, like move yourself. Yeah, that's definitely something that I say to my clients is, how do you want to look in the pictures, and how do you want to feel when you look back on these memories? Do you want to regret not taking your posing seriously, or do you like not care?
Yeah, yeah. It's having that. There's the levels of brutality with it, but it does get to a point where it's like you've got to do this as coaches in the space. And again, anyone listening back to this, maybe your physique coach doesn't do as much of the posing side. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I would say check that on consultation and see how your coach operates. But this is why a valid tool as a physique coach is to say, we do our full check-in on whatever day it is, but I want to see what's that posing video. It's what I do with all my competitive clients X amount of times a week as well, because then they have to do it. There's unless something drastic happens, which does occur sometimes, it's like you can get that almost touch base with someone going, okay, so on these days I need to do my posing rounds, because again, it's as important as the rest of it, isn't it? It is,
Yeah.
and I've always done it where I'll walk around the house. I'll do like the dishwasher with my heels on. She spoke earlier about sort of building up the posing, but also the foundation of wearing heels, etc. It's little things like that that can contribute as well to just putting the heels on and walking around and getting more comfortable. When you have posing lessons, do you do any sort of warm-ups or mobility, or have you got any tips around that? Because I know it's something we can sort of formulate ourselves, isn't it, to sort of get ready to pose?
Yeah, so there are a couple of things that I do send out to my clients about 5-10 minutes before we actually start the call, and a lot of this is going to be lower back stretches because we already know if you do any pretty much female divisions how important it is to lift your glutes, and sometimes you're on stage for up to like 20 minutes. It depends how many girls are in your call out, how many rounds they do. When you get off stage, how fried your lower back is, and it's unmatched. So definitely stretching out the lower back, like bit of yoga sort of movement, stuff like that, stretching out the glutes and the adductors as well. That's really important. The hip flexors can get quite tight when you're posing. And another thing is it's really important, this is a little bit off subject, but making sure that you are hydrated, because we know how hard, oh my God, it hurts when you get those calf cramps. Like when you're posing in those heels and your cramps just calf up and they seize, and it can make it, it's actually quite difficult to pose when you're quite dehydrated. So that's another thing that I do make sure that my clients are on top of when we do posing calls.
It is. There's almost as well. There can be some merit in doing like a warm up round, maybe. That's what you would do in a posing lesson, right? You go through, etc. You're assessing the physique. I found myself, it is quite nice to like come down, get my stuff together, get my tripod set up, get in the groove, maybe put some music on or whatever. That's another little tip there. Get a playlist together, like put some Tina Turner on or whatever it is that gets the juices flowing. Put music on, get yourself moving, and some just, a bit of hip mobility, like an RDL
Yeah,
is something that I got taught that really early on, almost like doing some RDLs in the heels to, as you say, activate through the glutes and the hamstrings, finding a bit of a routine and then doing a round.
yeah,
Maybe it's I also got taught never be lazy with it. So even if if it's your first round and you're just doing it as a warm up, still hit the poses, but you can just do it with less effort. There's a difference, isn't there? If you're just doing like, I can't be fucked to do this, it's different because then you're installing habits that are negative for the posing. However, if you do a warm up routine, it's just a bit dimmed down on the stage presence, etc. that they're practicing, then you can maybe go round again and you've got a little bit more pump to the physique. You're a bit warmer. You've moved into the pose and the transitions as well. Because sometimes it can feel a little bit, when you are fasted, when you are in a prep, or even off season as well, you can just feel a little bit sort of, I don't know, robotic almost, can't you?
yes, definitely. I think another thing to add is vacuums as well, and this is really important for keeping your abdomen tight. Obviously, we don't want your belly hanging out. So yeah, definitely doing vacuums is going to help a lot too, as well as everything we've just mentioned.
Yeah, I went to a show not long ago. There's so many federations now. IBFA, I think it was. There's so
Yeah,
many letters, and I remember when Wendy referenced it, she was like, "It's all the letters of the alphabet." I'm like, "I know, I can't keep up." But anyway, I went to the show, and they actually said, the judging panel and the guy on the mic, they said as soon as you hit the stage, we want to see your midsection tight. If it's not, we will call it out on the mic. And I was like, wow, I've never heard it to that degree at a show. And I was like, that's pretty fucking cool because
yeah,
it's something I reference a lot. And I'm like, I feel seen because it is, as soon as you enter that stage, you're being watched at all times. Now, you can for sure see competitors fade during their time on stage, or competitors can get better. Now,
yeah,
this is going to depend on your peak, potentially if you're natural or assisted. There is, of course, different realms there as well to consider. But you might find that at the start, maybe you're judged and you're on a lower placing. Someone starts to fade, and actually your physique picks up. You've practiced your posing, your peak has been nailed, you're enjoying your time on stage, the presence is there, everything's going extremely well. And actually, over the category, like you said, it could be 20 minutes. I've been on stage for 45 minutes before. You could actually get better. So again, it's like the merit to, learning all of this and holding your own as well, But that midsection control, honestly, you see so many different mixtures of that, but it's so important. It's so important. I'm sure you're the same as me. Like Every single check-in, I'm like, if the midsection's down, midsection's on point. I'm just gonna say it again, the midsection's on point. Because we need to remember that. Now, from a cueing standpoint as well, when you are on stage, remembering cues from your posing coach, and this is why video footage is excellent, because if you can replay that over and over again to the death of what is the posing coach, if you're going to a posing coach every week, every 4 weeks, however often it is, if it's always your lats or if it's always your glutes that you're not switching on, that you're not hitting as you should, that cue of, oh, just slightly turn your feet out, like you said earlier. Okay, let whatever the cue is, you have that in your mind, right? Like you can absolutely have this as like a record playing in your mind of, I know what to do, but these are the things that I fall down on. Be critical on yourself, be hard on yourself. And that's important. We're bodybuilding competitors, and there's a difference. If we're competing, we've got to be hard on ourselves, right? It's like this is where if you get a posing coach that does, it can be savage. I've left posing lessons crying, in all honesty. I had lessons with like Helen Panther, people like that, in the heyday, it's like, holy shit, these people are serious. I'm on the way there, I'm anxious, I'm nearly having a bloody meltdown. Get in there, brutal, but it installs the fundamentals to know you're there to work. And this is a message I want to get across on this episode, guys. You are there to work, right? Like, yes, I get it. We want to have fun. We like the stage up. We do our thing. We're sassy. We're doing all of these things. But see this as wanting to work. If you see however many competitors there, even if you're on your own and it's just you in the category, work for it, like really see that time as I am here to light it up. Like Lucy said earlier, how do you want your photos to look? Do you want to look like your own in the stage? Because, and I don't know if you've had this experience, Lucy, for me personally, the better I felt about this, the better I felt about it, and it does matter what your placing is. Most of us are going in to win, right? Generally speaking, you want to win. It's competition. However, if you've stepped on stage, you've nailed your prep, you've owned the stage, it hits different because you come off and you go, that's the best I literally can do. If someone's got a better physique than me, maybe their posing's better than me, the judges preference them because their bikini's a nicer color. I'm joking. But it is a very different ball game, isn't it, when you're there to dominate?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of time we see this with people going for their pro cards as well. It's the we need to work for it because at the end of the day, for these female divisions, posing is an extremely important part because obviously in bikini we don't show our backs and stuff like that. So we need to make up for it with the transitions and the flow and making sure that we are perfect on stage because you can't hide in like on stage. You can maybe crop out things in pictures or you can not post the stuff where your belly is sort of like hanging out a little bit or your shoulders are a little bit wonky. You can choose not to post those, but on stage you really cannot hide that. So it's really really important to go up there. Obviously you should have practiced by now, but yeah, going up, having confidence, knowing that you are there to do your best. You've worked extremely hard for it, and like you said before, like the judges are just drawn to confidence and they're drawn to the smiles on stage.
Mm. Romano always says fake it till you make it as well. It's
I
like,
completely agree. Yeah, I agree.
I mean, she's Olympian level, right? So it's like to have that context as well, where she's like, I normally fuck up my routine. She's like, I normally do some level of fuck up, but it's how you master that, and it's essentially an illusion, guys. We're basically magicians because it's an illusion being on stage. You're hiding your weaknesses potentially if you've got a good posing coach that can help you do that, and it's a potentially symmetry issue or whatever. But you're also then being able to play on your strengths and being able to give this performance. And it is a performance. I feel like as well, if you are like Lucy and I, where we're not really girly girls, as it were, we like training, we like doing the thing. You've got to, if you're in bikini and all the other divisions, you've got to accept, particularly in bikini, you've got to be a girly girl on stage. Like that, otherwise, don't do bikini. And that's what I had to accept early on. I was like, I'm really not, that's not natural for me. I like training. I like eating the food that I need to eat. I like being a bodybuilder. And it's like, oh, and it was quite hard to accept that at first. And it's like, we've got to really, haven't we? It's
Definitely. I think my least favorite part is, that part where you're just waiting to get on stage. I absolutely hate show day. All the lead up towards it. If I could just do the peak week and then not get on stage
living
for that
room.
part, yeah, that'd be perfect. But it's the build up towards the stage and then, oh yeah, that's my least favorite part. But unfortunately, it is part of the sport, and it has to be done.
Yeah, you got to like Romana again. She's like, I fucking hate having my makeup and my hair done. I hate it. I hate people touching me. I don't want anyone. I'm like, well, you sort of got to do that bit. Now, when it comes to, and it's good that you've landed on that actually, because it's something else I want to talk about. When you're backstage, maybe again, you could be on your own by default, and that's, it does occur. It's unfortunate because if you are there to work, you want to work against people, right? However, if you have got other competitors there is absolutely many opportunities where you can start getting imposter syndrome. You can start comparing yourself to everyone else. All of the things that can occur. Now, generally speaking, these things are because we give a shit. As I said, you probably do want to win. Maybe you are just, stepping on stage for fun, but there's probably something inside you that would quite like to win. So you can literally enjoy the peak week. You've smashed the prep. You can get there. You can be backstage. You're pumping up, and you're like, shit, all of these people are better than me. All of these, oh my God, what the hell? The stress response starts, maybe some anxieties, various other things. However, I must remind you guys, these people might not be able to pose. You just don't know. Plus, under the stage lighting, and remember what I said here as well, you can get better on stage. You can absolutely get better. You know what it's like, right? You can start a session and feel a bit like, then you get a bit of a pump and you're like, oh, I look quite. And then you finish your session, you're like, oh, I look really good. And then an hour later, when you get home, you're like, oh, I look flat. Okay, that's gone now. Similar thing with stage. If everything's been constructed how it should. Now, if you allow people to get in your own head, and I say that again, if you allow people to get in your own head, the stress response and everything that can happen can impact your physique. It can also impact your confidence and how you feel on stage. Really, guys, it doesn't matter who the fuck is there. This is where you own what you've done to get there. Because nobody has the right to take that away from you unless you let them. And it's a hard thing, I understand, to accept. But you got to stay in your lane. Like it's like you've got to be in this, say hello and whatever. You know my thoughts because you will listen to the pod. It's nice to make friends, if the opportunity's there, say hello or whatever. There has got to be elements of taking this seriously as well. As we say, you've got to work for it. With comparison to others and backstage, if people do feel this level of pressure, have you got any additional thoughts there? Because I know it can be a bit of a mind warp at best.
Definitely. Yeah, I really, really struggle with this. I'm one of those people where I got into the sport quite young and there weren't that many people back then that were my age competing. There were like one or two. Now more and more people are coming in and they're a lot younger each time. So automatically I immediately compare myself to girls that are 3, 4, 5 years older than me. And I was natural at the time and I was looking at girls that had been unis and stuff like that. And I still do that. I compare myself to girls that are the same height as me that have turned pro. And I'm like, oh my God, will I ever be as good as them? And there's a time last season, so 2023, and it was my last show. And the year before that, I was beaten by a girl. I think there were four of us in the category in that class, and she beat me. Anyway, it was a rematch the year after. And I was like, I texted my coach, and I remember the message so clearly. I was like, I think I said to him, looks like another second place. X's girl is here. She beat me last time. Got on stage. I was like, right, gonna make my photos look good, just gonna pose as well as I can, stuff like that. Sort of expecting my name to be called second. And I won. So
Here we go.
it's really, really important to know that just because someone beat you last time doesn't mean that they're going to beat you again. The judge, it's a very, very subjective sport. They might not like their structure. Everybody's built differently. If they've got wider hips than you in the back pose, or they have bigger shoulders that overpower their glutes and stuff like that, don't write yourself off, and don't like, yeah, don't count yourself out too soon, because everybody looks completely different in real life. And this is something I say all the time, as I've got a couple of first timers in prep, and they're sending me Instagrams, and they're like, oh my god, she's in my category and she'll be doing my class and she looks really big. I'm like, she was on stage last year. I promise you, she is nowhere near as big as you think. So that's another really big consideration when comparing yourself to other people, is that they might look great on Instagram and they've turned the sharpness up on their pictures and the lighting's perfect and they got a pump in the gym. Then you see them in person and you're like, they're not as lean as I thought they were going to be, or they're not as big as I thought they were going to be, you know? And yeah, that's another thing that has caught me out quite a few times. I've been expecting to lose and then I place higher than them. And it's just, yeah, it's a bit of a mind warp, as you just said.
Yeah, I mean, this sport in itself, particularly with the social media presence, it can absolutely get to your time. Obviously, my thoughts with social media, follow the people that are gonna essentially almost fill your cup up, or however we want to frame that. If you do find yourself hyper fixating on, people that are in your category, maybe they're going to be at the show. It's also worth remembering that they don't always turn up. Something could occur. Hopefully, it doesn't in a respect of, I don't want anything bad to happen to anyone, but I've known things to happen where, I've seen other competitors and then they've had someone passed in their family and they haven't made the show or whatever. Things do well, Connor, in your example.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
You never actually know who's going to turn up. And it does come with experience, but it also comes with an element of, I really don't fucking care who else is here. And I don't mean that, in any other way. Then you sometimes got to get to that point, and that's mindset as well. We won't go into that 'cause you know what I'm like with mindset, but there comes points in life where you've got to go, do you know what? Fuck it. Like, I'm here to fucking do this. And it's that internal strength to go, whatever happens, happens. This is a show that and this is it, guys. You've worked so hard for this. Like, all of that countless, the hours that you're spending, all of the things that you're doing. When I saw Emily, and this was how many weeks ago was the shoot now? Five or so weeks ago. You already have blisters on your feet, right? Like, you're 4 weeks out. It's stuff like that. All of these things that are happening behind closed doors where you're pushing and pushing and pushing. And the reason I my tone goes up with this, it's such a shame when I feel this taken away from competitors or life in general, when we're imposter syndrome's good at times because it means we're probably doing something that's uncomfortable and it can drive us to be better. However, when it crushes you and, as you say, it takes away from your self-confidence, etc., it's really hard because, like you said, looking at photos, also, do you want to look back and go, I was buzzing, got backstage, lost it because I looked at someone else. I looked at someone else. I could have beat them if I didn't let them get in my head. And there are tactics of people trying to get in your head, guys. Trust me. There's people backstage that do this as a thing. And particularly as you progress through the ranks, and if you go into the pro league, it's a tactical thing. They're there to make you feel uncomfortable. They're there to get you to doubt yourself. It is something that occurs. Might not be something you consider, but it's like it's a wild, wild thing, and it's not easy sometimes to stay in your lane. But I really do feel like if you can sort of have that time on show day, have that time to yourself to just, yes, like I say, make a friend or whatever, but have that decompression time as well. Stay in your lane, listen to your coach, speak to your coach if you're feeling these anxieties, any of the worries, and what's, like you said, you text your coach. The coach then has an opportunity to hopefully guide you through that and support that, because we are human as well. And trust me, I've been there. Like, I'm not saying I turn up at shows and everything's all good, but you do need to get to a point sometimes where it's like I've got to give myself a chance here, and be my own. Like, and it's almost as well. I don't know if you've had this on stage. Sometimes you can't see the judges.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Most of the time you can't see the judges, you can't see the crowd.
Yeah.
Um, there's not as many people as you think watching. And I've done like PCA British finals, and that's a notoriously pretty busy show because there's an expo as well. And I just remember being on stage and not saying nobody was watching, but people were preoccupied with other things and they don't really care. Uh, so yeah, that's definitely another thing.
Yeah, it's that's a hard one, isn't it? Obviously, when you say nobody cares, because it is hard as well in regards to, the whole bodybuilding journey in itself. It's like you could win a show and everyone's your best mate, and then a week later someone else wins a show and it's like, oh, where's everyone gone? Again, this pursuit being for you and getting excited by all of these elements of what is possible, what you're able to actually push into, because obviously Vicky and Emily were saying they've had quite a smooth prep, as it were. But there's still hardship in that, isn't there? There's still though. It's like I'm pretty fucked at points, but your mindset allows you to enjoy it more, and obviously you've got experience from doing it before. How are your guys? And I know you're on mute, but posing wise, how many times are you posing a week at the moment? If we go with Emily first.
So my coach has basically programmed in for me like 5 rounds daily. So
Yeah,
I like having that in my sheets because it makes me do it. Because I was quite lazy at the beginning of my prep, to be honest, because I hate posing, to be honest with you.
yeah.
It's a chore to me. It's one of the tick boxes of prep that, and like when you do get more tired as the prep goes on, like, and my legs sore and I don't want to. So having it as like it has to be 5 rounds. So like that was obviously towards the back end of prep, sort of for expenditure reasons as well. He programmed that in. So now it's like you said, different times a day. He said like do sometimes do it fasted, sometimes post workout, sometimes I'll do it in the evening. But yeah, it gets done daily now. It's a daily tick box,
You've
but
got a
it's
good coach.
that's
Literally, everything we've said, your coach is getting you to do. What a fucking vibe. I love this. I love this. Let's praise the standard of the industry, guys. I love
needed
that.
ability, so I'm glad.
Yeah, no, it is because all of these things I'm saying, I'd like this to be a standard in the space. That these are no, like this is a normal thing for us to be looking at.
Yeah.
Love how you mentioned about sheets as well, because it is when you got your tick boxes, it sounds like you might be similar to me. If I've got something on that sheet, I have to do it. Like it's like almost like an OCD thing, right? Like I've got to do it.
I'd feel so guilty if I didn't do five. If it was four, I'd be like, nope.
Isn't it weird? I think in a deficit as well, you're a bit more sensitive to those things. It's like you would literally be like, I can't go to bed. Even if you just had to like do the four and then you had to go and do something, then you had to do a one in the evening or something.
I would do that.
Do you do posing in front of anyone like in a studio at the gym or anything like that? I know obviously you're an experienced competitor, so yeah.
Yeah, it varies, but I mean, I train out of Lucy's gym, and she'll vouch for this. It's very much like bodybuilding community, that
Okay.
type of gym. So like, if I'm doing it on the gym floor, like no one bats an eyelid. So it's easy enough for me to do it on the gym floor and stuff like that.
Oh, I love that. Isn't it a bit like the don't give a fuck? Feels quite good when you just do your flexing and your posing post workout, doesn't it? I definitely feel like in a bodybuilding gym, it's really hit new for me being in a different gym. I feel like if you're in a gym that's not really that vibe, I don't know. It almost you're posing and you're like, oh, this is really cool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, my priority is the lighting as well. So it's like I'm not trying to be that person that's on the gym floor, but actually the lighting in the gym is better on the floor than it is in the posing room.
Yeah.
So it's just like if you want the lighting and you're trying to send rounds to your coach or something as well, it's like actually I'm going to get on the gym floor because he can't see much in the posing room. It softens you out. So you're going
Mm.
to be that person on the gym floor.
Hi, Lucy. So we're on the holiday. It is as well. It's like it's the pressure of people watching you like that becomes second nature then, doesn't it? Like I'll go and just hit some poses and I'm like this it's not an issue. Like when you first start doing it, it can be a bit like, oh, is anyone listening to this, people are looking at me to the if anything, guys, people think it's cool. They're like, oh, that person must compete, that's cool. That's generally speaking what people are gonna be thinking, but we can often get in our heads like, oh my god, everyone's looking at me. But that's a good thing because you're going to be on stage.
Indeed.
Is your first show PCA?
Mine,
Hmm.
I'm doing two bros on the
Oh,
night of this.
oh,
Yeah.
Eek. And this is this a regional to then do a pro qual or?
I'm not doing a pro qual this year. Down the
I think
line,
you should.
but I want
You
to do it
should.
Lucy's like, do one.
when I'm big enough. I'll do it. I want another meaty off season first before I put my energy into a pro qual.
So
Do you know
you're,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, I understand that for sure.
But then I've got a PCA show I'd like to do as well. So it's like a bit of both. I want to just enjoy competing this year. And PCA is so fun. So I was like, I've got to do PCA, you know.
I love that. Emily, as if I couldn't like you anymore. I love the true sentiment of bodybuilding, guys. Like, and actually being objective as an athlete, that's not always easy. Being able to go, well, actually, this is my lane right now. This is what I need to do. Also, it adds to the substance of the growth phase, which, it comes with. Sometimes it's quite difficult to be able to accept the multiple phases, right? So having that, like, see where you stand at two bros at a regional,
That's it. Yeah.
see what occurs, and going in with that mindset as well. Again, we don't know you could be the only one, there could be 10 of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the only one last time. So I'm yeah, in my height class because I'm
Yeah.
so short. And I'm like praying that doesn't happen again because then it's like you've just done this whole prep to step on stage randomly. Like it's almost like a photo shoot on stage, and then you go into the hall and someone massive beats you, and you're like, "What was the point of that show again?" Like,
Yeah.
so pray for me.
Yeah. It is what, like, when I saw, me and Romana spoke about it, obviously, but the level of muscle, I know obviously WPD is the next one up, but I was just like, this is WPD and it is Pro League, but I mean, bloody hell. And then you got women's bodybuilding, but even figure now is
Yeah.
blood wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
The girls are huge, so I'm just like, yeah, we'll just have some fun this year and get massive.
Massive. I love it. Vicky, how many times are you posing a week or a day, etc. at the moment?
Um, about 5 times a week, probably between 20 and 30 minutes. I still do a bit on the gym floor while I'm there, but I sort of train in the morning, probably do a few rounds on the gym floor, but then I tend to go back at night just because of a time element and dedicate 20 to 30 minutes,
Mm.
sometimes longer. I think, it's just sometimes you have those days where sometimes it just doesn't seem to come together. And I think sometimes the more and more you do it, you get frustrated. So I know at that point, actually, let's switch off today. It's not productive. And I tend to find then the next day is probably a lot better. But I'm generally probably having, I suppose now because it's coming closer, I'm having a lesson every week for an hour as
Oh,
well on top of that. So yeah, she's just advised sort of 4 to 5 times a week, but I'm trying to get there 5 times a week. And again, it's just fitting it in around the schedule and stuff like that. And now I've got because I've not had any cardio up until 2 weeks ago.
bloody hell, you lucky girl. Although I
Yeah,
like cardio.
I don't mind it. I really don't mind it. And everybody's gonna hate me, but I love the Stairmaster.
I call it the stair bastard, but yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
Mm.
So, it's sort of going in. I'll probably do my posing first, and then I'll go and get the cardio done so that I've got a fixed, focused mind and not too much fatigue on
Mm.
posing. But yeah, I've sort of tried to keep that up throughout prep and before. So yeah, like some weeks as well, I might have 2 lessons. Just depends how it falls with my schedule and posing coach. But yeah, we're keeping a couple behind because potentially I might do a second show. But it's set. The show I want to do is 7 weeks after my first one.
That would be nice for you. At 7 weeks.
A photo shoot as well in between that. So, I'm going to go with the flow. If I feel okay, feel fine, we'll go for it. We're putting things in place because it's slightly different posing for what I'm doing for the first show. We've started to do that posing now, add that in as part of the practice. Health comes first for me. So obviously, as you're aware, I've got other health issues to consider. If I feel fine, I'm going to jump on it, but there's just no pressure. That I suppose that was never the aim
Mm-hmm.
when I started out, but then, you torture yourself and you tinker in your mind, don't you? Oh, well, we're in it, let's go again. So
Yeah.
yeah, potentially, but I think I'll do it. But if there's any indication from myself or my coach feels that there's any detriment to do that, as you know, Ali anyway, he'll pull me straight away from doing it.
Yeah, yeah, and it's yeah, depending on your situation, it is important to keep an open mind. 7 weeks, it doesn't feel like that long, but it does feel like that long when you're when you've already done a competition. But again, another thing for people to consider is if you can do, more than one show, depending on your commitments, health, etc. It's quite nice to be able to do that. Also, something I do with clients is a warm-up show. So maybe similar to what you're doing, Emily, in a certain degree. Not a warm-up show as in it's not important, but it's like your sort of first show of the season. You can go in and then you can have a main show, as it were. So there's options for that as well. The joy is with the UK, there is so many federations, as I've mentioned before. You could literally go and do one that is, quite a small show, just gets you on stage, gets the juices flowing, gets you back used to doing, a show. Because the runnings and everything, it's a bit of a ooh, and then you can sort of do your main show as well. So there's lots of options within it. Again, also, affordability because especially if you're doing tea, bro, it's quite expensive, guys. Emily's like, yeah, I've remortgaged the shed. That's another reason as well. Do your posing because it's so bloody expensive to compete, guys.
Especially pro qualifiers. Oh my God.
Wild, isn't it?
So it's like 180 to 250 pounds per class.
Mm. I,
It's like 120 for my show. So
Yeah.
it all adds up, doesn't it? Massively.
yeah, because then you got the tan.
I'm tan. I
Yeah,
always my tan. I wouldn't dream of doing it myself. I'd
yeah.
really mess that up if I did. I just
I've
paid.
done that.
Have you?
Oh my God. Have you not seen? Yeah,
Lucy, you messed yours up, didn't you?
I went green.
Oh no! Oh no! Did you wear deodorant or something?
No, basically, I did so 2022, I did my own tan for a pro qualifier for two bros. And then I used that same top coat the year later, thinking, oh, it's still in date. It
Oh,
wasn't in date. It was not in date. It was a PCA show. The reel is on their page. If you scroll back to, I think it was the 10th of September 2023.
oh
Oh
my
my
God!
God. Oh, I was gonna walk. I was just gonna leave and not get on stage because I was like looking at myself backstage. I was like, oh my God, this is awful. And I lost a place because of it.
That's the thing as well. I'm glad you said about that, Emily, because actually, it's something I put in the ebook. It's like if you're completely different color to everyone else, and although it said it's not marked down, can be marked down, depending on the federation and who the judges are.
And I
And I can say that with inside knowledge.
then I got good feedback on like my skin condition and tan. That was like one of the comments I got from like the head judge of Two Bros, and I was like, so they, that is something that they're genuinely critiquing. I just couldn't risk doing it myself because, yeah,
I'm terrible. Well, back to saying, well, we're not girly girls. I mean, I'm terrible with all of this.
but yeah, that too.
I do my own hair because my hair is so thick. Like it's quite hard to explain it until you fit. When you see my hair blow dried without it being straightened, it's fucking humongous. Matt always winds me up. Even anyway, I know how to deal with my hair, but things like tan, makeup, I'm just like, let's pay the money. But it does clock up the price, and it is again, this posing segment we're talking about today. That adds a bit of how much money you're putting into it as well. Health all you're doing in a prep, everything you're doing and putting into that. And earlier, Lucy, you said it, it's not pain, but it is pain. I know what you're saying there because it's like it's not, but it is, what you're doing. So it's important. Now, do any of you have any questions you'd like to ask Lucy while we're on the call at all? We've covered everything, Lucy.
I had a couple to be fair. I was gonna ask about, because nowadays, like the last couple of years, there's like a lot more posing coaches out there. So off the back of that, my main questions would be like what do you feel are the main attributes that someone should actually possess in order for them to be able to properly teach posing? And the second one would be what would be sort of your like bullet point list for like someone looking for a posing coach, like what should they be looking for? Because I suppose it can be really confusing, especially if it's your first time. Like the research that they should be doing, what are the things they should be looking out for, and from the posing coach perspective, like what skills should they possess to actually be able to teach posing? Because you can be great at posing and start advertising that you teach posing based off one season where you smashed it yourself, but realistically, what should you actually have as a genuine skill set to be able to teach it properly? I hope that makes sense. Two questions.
Yeah, no, of course. I'm just going to say that just because you can promote yourself really well doesn't mean that you can do the job well. And we can see this with a lot of the time with online coaches. They'll pay for the latest sheets and they're really on it with their Instagram and their social media, but they can't coach at all, for like they know nothing. So this is very, very similar with posing coaches. And I feel like posing, it's not as involved as physique coaching, so it's a lot more appealing to people because it's like a quick 45-50 pounds for 30-minute session. So I think something that's really, really important is that they do well themselves and they've not just done one season and then decided, right, I'm going to teach everybody how to do it. Because I've seen people do that. They've done one season, their feedback was to improve their posing, and now they're a posing coach. And then they're teaching all of those bad habits and all of the like incorrect things to clients. So I think that's really important, is that they've got a sort of history behind them and they consistently do well and their posing is very, very consistent. Another thing is the ability to teach as well. Is done posing sessions with IFBB pros, and just because they can pose doesn't mean that they can teach it very well. Like you've just said, it's all about explaining it to people and having lots of different ways of explaining it to people, because not everybody learns the same. Some people prefer it if you write things down in a list. Other people prefer it if you visually show them and put a side-by-side video. Other people prefer it when you draw lines on their posing and say, like, draw arrows and go change this. Another thing as well is how they come across. I've had people come to me and they've said, I've left my last posing coach because she was making critiques about my physique rather than my posing. And I'm like, our job isn't to tell you how big your glutes are, or if you need to lose weight, or if you need to, I don't know, grow your quads and stuff like this. Our job is to show you how to present what you currently have. And I've had people saying, oh yeah, my last posing coach said I didn't have enough muscle to teach how to pose, so we didn't really do anything. And I'm like, well, if you can pose like imagine you're posing a skeleton, like a literal skeleton. You can pose that. You can put the arms and the legs in the right position. You can pose pretty much anybody. Does that mean that they're going to look like an IFBB pro? Probably not. But if they can present themselves to the best of their ability, that is your job. Your job is not to comment on other people's bodies. I think that's one thing that really irks me as well.
Yeah, I love you said that. I had this before with posing coaches that have said, oh, you should do this category as well. And one client in particular, we're focused on one category. Yes, you can do multiple categories. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. That's not for me to say. However, first timer, we're focusing on this category. This is what I want you to learn. These are the poses I want you to learn. Oh, but why don't you do this one as well? There's that one as well. Make the most of the show. No, you have the physique coach to do that. This is and that's with staying in your lane as well. I'm not trying to be a dickhead about it, but it's frustrating because then it's planting seeds that don't need to be planted. This also comes from the competence of, if you trust your coach and the competence of your bodybuilding coach, hopefully you can just sort of move to a new posing coach or just say, look, I'm doing my thing. Could you just, teach me how to do the pose? But it's like fucking, you're not there for that, are you? So I'm glad you've said that.
Definitely. I think I've had quite a few people, not quite a few people, I had one posing coach in particular, and this was quite a few years ago. I think it was my 2022 season. She was telling me, you could do really well if you didn't get so soft in off season. And I was like,
Bro.
I'm paying you to teach me how to pose, not coach me. And that was sort of like my turning point, where I was like, there are some things that you should and shouldn't say when you are teaching someone how to pose.
Also, as well, it's like, yeah, I just think, why would the posing coach need to get involved with, like, what?
Yeah.
What are we trying to do here, And this is the thing with the coaching space as well. It's like you say, too soft in off season. Do you know what the fucking goal is for that athlete? Like, have you made a comment, or have you actually gone, okay, so what's your timeline? What have you been doing? Has there been any injuries? I mean, the list fucking goes on as to why you might push more in an off season or do a longer one. It's nothing to do with the posing, is it? So yeah, very, very relevant. So if anyone's listening, try and find a posing coach that stays in there. Like, I'm glad you said it, but I also, as I said, I don't want to come across as a dickhead, but it is something that it does piss me off as well.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think another thing is knowledge on heels as well, because I remember wearing my first pair of heels and I think I just got them off Vinted. And oh my God, they were awful. They had no platform and they were 5 inch. So my foot was like at a 90-degree angle to the floor and I could not walk in them. So having somebody that had knowledge about what heels to get. So I always send out a spreadsheet to my clients and like, these are the heels that I suggest that you get. These are the ones that I personally have because there's so many types now. You can have 4 inch heels with a platform, you can have 5 inch heels with no platform, 5 inch heels with a quarter of an inch platform or half an inch platform. You can have straps, no straps, wide, medium, narrow, sparkles. Like there's so many different types of heels. So I think definitely having a posing coach that is knowledgeable on what is a good fit for you, because I wish that I had that. And I had a male coach for 2 of my seasons. He knew nothing about any of that stuff. So that's something that I definitely wish I had from my posing coach.
For sure. Also, there is an option. I don't know if you do this, Lucy, but some of my clients, their posing coaches allow me to sit on the Zoom lessons as well. It's something that not every client I can do that with, but I have got the option with a couple of my clients where I can actually be in the Zoom as well. So it's like a freeway call, and I just sort of sit back and that's going to be absolutely person dependent. I don't want to open a can of worms here where it becomes a difficult conversation with your coach and your posing coach or whatever. But I just ask the question, and sometimes that happens. So there's other options as well if the physique coach isn't so up to date, or maybe it's a male or what have you, and they'd like to be more involved with the posing. If it's not their forte, as it were, that can be an option. Or my clients send me videos of their posing lessons, so I can watch that as well. So getting those pointers and cues, learning about what heels to get, how to do it. It is a mind warp, isn't it? It's like, where do I start? My first pair of shoes was from a stripper's website.
I get mine from there. They're cheaper.
I was like, I'm buying strippers' heels. This is
Yeah.
this is quite weird. I thought I was a bodybuilder. It's wild, isn't it? It's yeah, it's I feel part of the attributing factors that bodybuilding is this weird, wonderful, wild space that, with all of this, yes, we've said about the hard work and what you need to do, but also having that cathartic enjoyment of this weird shit that we do. Like, it's absolutely not normal, but it's our normal, of course, and it's just, yeah. Bodybuilding, praise the Lord. You know, I'm like, bodybuilding is my favorite. I had a conversation at the gym yesterday, and Matt was like, Sarah was referencing to Stephen, who's on the pod tomorrow, my first coach. Matt's got loads of hobbies. And she said, I don't have any hobbies. I just like bodybuilding. And I was like, but it's true. I don't need anything else. I just like bodybuilding. I'm sure you can resonate, guys. I know we've got little things, but bodybuilding. Emily's like, hell yeah. Sophia as well. She travels like
Yes.
on holiday. We were sending photos on holiday, like little pots of clay, all of our stuff. But weird.
All sorts of things.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Lucy, thank you so much for, as I said at the start, thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it. And meeting you properly as well. Obviously, we spoke quite a lot over the years. But
Totally.
I will put your Instagram handle in the description. Of course, if anyone wants to reach out about posing, even if it's just to drop you a DM to say, how much it is, what do you offer, etc. Obviously, bikini and wellness is your main lane, as it were. But if people want to contact you, and maybe you can recommend if it was figure upwards as well. Obviously, we've got Romana that does posing as well for those realms too. So if anyone does want to reach out, I'm sure Lucy won't mind.
Definitely. Everybody is welcome to message me about anything at all. Yeah, bikini wellness. I know the figure poses, but I can't promise you that they're going to be perfect. So if you just need a little bit of guidance, or even if you just want to send a video of what you've got already and you want a little bit of feedback rather than a full-on call, yeah, just pop me a DM.
See, she loves bodybuilding, guys. So I'm like, we just share the love of bodybuilding. Well, of course, guys, thank you for listening, and thank you guys for turning up on a very hot and sunny barbecue type Sunday. I mean, I know you two are in prep, but you can still barbecue chicken. So I appreciate that you turned up, and of course, I'll be in your ears tomorrow as well. But we will speak real soon, guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey!